Hello, my name is Hakon and welcome back to my channel where today I'm giving you a little update on my synth DIY project. A year and a half ago I bought the Dreadbox Dysphonia, which of course is Dreadbox's absolutely amazing open architecture, Euro-rackable or standaloneable patch a cable anywhere kind of synth. And I absolutely love it, and many a time I've been thinking I wish I bought two. About a year ago, I made my own case for it so I could double up all the sockets with banana jacks, which is what I need for to interface with my Kilpatrick phenol system. And that has worked brilliantly. I've used it for a year and I'm sort of used to it. I know where things are, and I also know the shortcomings of how I designed it the first time, which of course was limited by the box I was planning to use at the time. Along the way, I've been thinking maybe I should have bought two Dysphonias because they are such great sounding and amazing synths, and of course, being very limited edition, there aren't that many of them. They hardly ever come up for sale, but I finally found one that was reasonably priced, at least I think it was, on Reverb, and I bought that, and now I've got two. But I want to do the same I did with both of them together, doubling up all the sockets that I need with banana jacks. And I talked a bit about that in my previous episode, in my previous video. And I've received my second Dysphonia now, and I've printed out the front plate that I wanted to use, and I've cobbled up very quickly a case made from. And the reason I'm not showing a video of me making the case is because it is made from scrap pieces of wood I just had lying around, so it's not elegant woodworking. I'm just going to show this now. So this is what it looks like at the moment. So this is the two Dysphonias, and I got the front panel here, which is made out of MDF. There's actually two pieces of MDF, and I've got banana jacks. I'll put in all the banana jacks here because they're color coded to make it easier for me to get the sort of visual memory for where things are. And I spaced them out a lot better than they were on my previous iteration of a Dysphonia case. And I've grouped together both Dysphonias in one place. So I've got the VCA1, both of them are here, VCA2, Dysphonia 1, Dysphonia 2, oscillators, Dysphonia 1, Dysphonia 2, etc. So, and of course, the most important part of the Dysphonias is the the modulator, which I use all the time, and of course, the low pass filter right here in the middle, which is pride of place. That's what I use the most, and that's why it's there. And also, I tend to only take the output from the mixers on the Dysphonia, so I've done the mixer inputs here left and right on the panel, and if I want to take the sound from anywhere else, I can of course do what I used to do and just plug in a mini jack to a large jack cable and plug it into my mixer that way, which I have done before and I can do. So because there is more than one sound source in this, it is a monosynth, but the oscillator can make a sound. But at the same time, the modulator can go into audio rates, the LFO can go into audio rates. I'm not sure about the envelope, but and the low pass filter is self-resonating, which means you have four potential sound sources that can be used at the same time as well. So, and I made the color scheme and the look of it, I made it to match the Kilpatrick phenols. Of course, there's more color on the sockets now than on the phenols, but I like the colors for the color coding. There is a system to it. I explained it last time. And it's a bit wonky. It's made, of course, with the pieces I had lying around. And so far, no cables have been attached. Now these loose cables here, of course, they are the ones that I've cut from my previous one. So one thing that you might notice is that the USB powers, of course, you will not be able to use this one. You would be able to use this one to power it, but this one would have to be moved. So I'm going to move that eventually. I'm going to do all the cabling I'm probably going to put some kind of bottom on here, and that's where I will place the USB power. I will put the ground connector, or the 0 volt reference connector on that bit, and also I will put the full size jacks for the outputs as well. Will be on and they'll probably be recessed a little bit as well, so it won't extend all the way to the back. It will be a little bit further back here, because that way I will actually be able to take this stand and it will actually move up and go a little bit over the front phenol of my system, making the whole setup more compact. So that is the plan, and so I didn't make any videos of me doing this. This is not very exciting stuff, just putting in all these sockets, or doing the woodworking, which of course anyone who knows woodworking would probably feel was quite a cringeworthy thing to watch. I'm not going to expose you to that sort of thing, but just to show you how it's in principle now, how it's going to look, and it's going to be on the desk like so. So it's going to have a nice little slant to it. I was originally thinking of doing 2 different angles, one for the Dysphonias and one for the panel, but it looked rather nice because I just had these pieces that had this angle on them. These are leftovers from when I made my phenol stand, and so I just kept that angle, so I didn't have to do much cutting. I just had to cut off the front, and I don't think I even had to cut off the back actually. I just cut off the front, and then I added some other pieces of wood to put it together. So that is how I've done it so far. So yeah, upcycled wood and also upcycled screws as well. I do have some new screws have been used on the side here, but otherwise on the front panel is all upcycled as well. So I like reusing old things. If I don't, always keep screws. I always keep scrap wood, just in case there's something I can use it for. So that's the project so far, and I'm thinking it's looking rather okay. Looking quite DIY, of course. If I wanted something properly professional looking, I could get a proper faceplate made and all that stuff, but I'm not going to do that. One thing I did have in mind, and of course that would have been a much bigger project. I'm not going to do that now, but maybe sometime in the future. So now, of course, I'm doubling up all these, all the important sockets of the Dysphonias on the panel. But what could have been possible was to, instead of doing that, was to hide the Dysphonias inside a box, and then move all the sockets like this to a front panel, and move all the controls as well with bigger potentiometers, better spaced out. Because if you can imagine, if you use this whole space here now for the sockets, and then for this space here for the controls only, so you can't really see this, just moving everything further up and having some bigger knobs, it will look really cool. But that's a lot of work, especially now that these have been put together. If I'd thought of doing something like that when I got my first Dysphonia, it would have been easy to do. Now I would have to desolder all these controls as well. But it's a nice thought, something I'll keep in mind. Maybe I will do it someday, but for now I think I'm quite happy doing it like this. I am used to playing the Dysphonia now with the controls on it. I'm getting used to the sliders, which initially is a bit strange when you're used to knobs, but I'm actually quite liking the sliders. At least as long as I can use them without the cables getting in the way, which is one of the reasons too that I wanted to get the sockets away from the panel, which is what I did on my previous version as well. I'll just show you that quickly, in case you haven't seen it before. I got my my old case. This is what's left of it now. Had am I in focus? I'm out of focus. It's a bit hard to see. So my old case, of course, had all these sockets away from the front panel, which went here, and of course you can see they are much tighter. Let's compare them now as well. If you just give me a moment. So if you can see now, the old sockets are much more cramped than the new ones as well. So I've spaced them out a lot more because I think it makes such a big difference when you're playing to have well spaced out sockets. It's easier to see where things go. And also another reason I went with a white front panel is when I'm playing, I don't like having too much light on. And it's so much easier to see black writing on white than the other way around, or any other color on black, or a dark color. So it's so much easier to patch in the darkness with a white front panel. So that's my favorite kind of color now, and I'm really used to it after having had the phenols for a few years. Before I had the phenols, and also while I've had the phenols, I've always been thinking I like black for synthesizers, but when I make videos playing music, I like dimming the lights so you can see the LEDs very well. And I have noticed that it is so much easier to play if the panel is white, the writing is black, etc. So anyway, that's the status so far. It's coming along, and I think it's looking rather nice. I think it's looking better than my old one. Still a bit wonky, of course. One thing that, I don't know if you spotted it, but there's a bit of a gap on the side there, and the reason is that the MDF panels I got were this width exactly, and so in order to make this sort of a bit more efficient, I just took one plate of MDF and I cut it into these two pieces. There was a little bit left over as well. It just made the cutting job so much easier, and it also ensured that these sides, the bottom and the two sides here, were exactly squared off as well, because that looks nicer, doesn't it? So a tiny gap, but that is not a big deal. It just makes it look a bit more DIY, which is part of the charm, I think, of something like this. Anyway, that's it for today, and thank you for watching, and I'll keep you posted when I do something else. Of course, there's a lot of wiring and soldering to come for this, because I'll have to solder up every single socket now. At least I've done it before. I know better now what I'm doing, and of course another thing now, I will have to remove most of these cables as well before I do it, because most of them will be too short to go where they're supposed to go. So but it'll be a fun thing to do, especially on a rainy day. There might be rainy days coming up. Right now it's sunny and nice, so which reminds me, I need to go and cut the grass. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, buy me a coffee, etc., etc. Bye bye.